I'm on a health craze, people. I think everyone should start their day, no matter how early, whether I'm rolling out when you're rolling over or not, with a healthy breakfast. It's the meal you went the longest without. Half a pot of coffee, half a bag of cigarettes. I think I'm onto something. If you can't believe or don't trust the message that I, your most flexible, fluid, and incredibly humble messenger, give almost daily from the now dark wall, then obviously we have a problem. Precisely why I encourage subs to my channel to leave a comment, asking questions, or stating the nature of the disagreement we might have. I have also at least 33 times given my email address, which I'll do again right now. Outpost, one word, OUTPOST @midco.net to contact me. And a good friend and longtime subscriber did just that. Sent me an email. Let me read the sub's comment / question. I gotta bring these things up, and man, I'm running slow today. Might need another cigarette here. As far as paying taxes, the good book you reference often tells us we are will to Caesar what's owed to Caesar. What are you going to tell your maker on Judgment Day when he asks, why didn't you pay part of your earnings to the government like he instructed? Okay, that's quite a question. I got to give you a warning here, right here and now. I'm going to warn you, this is a religious podcast. Oh, come on, we don't do religion. Oh, I know you don't, but I've said many times, religion does you. I'll be using just 2 scriptures from the Bible, and it will be a teachable moment, because I'm just getting started, people, on Friday. Thank God it's Friday, the 6th of January, 2023, or so they want us to believe. Now, whether you believe me or not, I have not filed a 1040 confession form with the Imaginary Revenue Service since 1985. In the minds of many people, that would make me a tax protester. In other words, the taxpayers believe that those who don't pay their taxes are protesters. But what about June 24th, 1968? If what I taught about June 24th, 1968 is true, and it is, then taxpayers became as obsolete since then as Vietnam War protesters are today. How so? Simple. There's no longer a Vietnam War to protest, not since 1975. And if the payments mechanism, the money of account of the United States, was removed in 1968, why would anyone discuss a liability to pay a tax when we have nothing to pay taxes with? This is not a difficult concept, but when you can't pay a debt with a debt instrument, and since June 24th, 1968, that's all we have left, people, debt instruments, evidence of debt. Men in suits, remember the story, with heavily armed briefcases, stole our wealth, yep, silver and coin form, and left us with what? Instruments of debt, or debt instruments. Sorry, I don't care what you believe, but those are the indisputable facts, easily proven by our master's own documents. And I don't doubt beliefs are very powerful, but just because you believe something doesn't make it so. To call anyone today a taxpayer or tax protester is an insult generated by cognitive dissonance, talked about that, and incredible ignorance. Both terms are obsolete. And I've heard it said many times that it takes a lot of balls and stupidity to be a tax protester, to which I totally agree. Pretending you're something you're not, believing you are something you're not, like Batman, Superman, or tax protester, taxpayer, is foolishness. I say pretending to be a taxpayer takes even more balls and stupidity, and here's why. I've just told you the other day, be very careful what you sign with your signature. For some reason, people, our masters want your signature on their documents, and the 1040 confession form to the Imaginary Revenue Service is one of their documents. Whether you pretend to do your own taxes or hire a CPA to do them, should I tell you what a CPA is, people? A certified public accountant. A CPA is someone who certifies that you are as ignorant and effing deceived as they are. Now, have you ever read the signature block on the Form 1040? Did you miss the perjury penalty? Aren't you even aware that the penalty for committing perjury is far greater than being charged with willful failure to file a tax return? You talk about balls. People who pretend they are taxpayers and openly lie on 1040 confession forms definitely have way more balls than I have or ever will have. Well, let's get back to the email, and I'll prove again. There is no mystery why the state gives the state churches tax-exempt status. First, let's look at the state church's teachings on the subject. Then we will compare those to what the Bible really teaches. I did a totally random search. You can do it too. I just typed in, what does the Bible teach about paying taxes? And just like fishing, I no sooner dropped my line in the pond and hooked one. Works every time, people. So, let's read, what does the state churches teach? And it was random. I'm bringing it up. What does the Bible say about paying taxes? Did Jesus pay taxes? Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, by Mary Fairchild. This was written on May 16, 2018, long after June 24th, 1968. Every year at tax time, these questions come up. Did Jesus pay taxes? What did Jesus teach on taxes to his disciples? And what does the Bible say about taxes? Careful study on the topic reveals that Scripture is quite clear on this issue, even though we may disagree with the way the government spends our money. Let me stop right there, people. Governments do not waste, collect, or spend money. Why would they? They get everything with credit, as the Federal Reserve Bank of New York said. And you recall, our system works only with credit. Now, you guys can believe it works for something else, but that ain't what the masters say. And if you don't think the Fed represents our masters, wow, I don't know if I can help you. But anyway, spends our money. Our duty as Christians, no, your duty as state churchgoers, is spelled out in the Bible. We are to pay our taxes and do it honestly. Pay them with what, Mary Fairchild? You talk a lot, but you don't give us any information. So did Jesus pay taxes? She gives us Matthew 17, 24 through 27, and she gives us Matthew 22, 15 through 22, and she wraps up her story with, I've mentioned this one before, Romans 13. Yep. Let me tell you about Romans 13. Just a first verse. Everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Well, now, if the average dupe sitting in the state church building hears that, you think you're going to rile him up to go against the government that God himself ordained? No, nobody's going to do that. That would be blasphemy. But here's the problem, people. Romans 13, the first part, doesn't exist anywhere except in the English translations. And I'm going to tell you one more time, the scriptures, the original autographs, were written in Hebrew and Koine Greek and Aramaic. And none of those have Romans the first 13, the first part. It's pure bullshit added by men in the English translations. But I'll prove that in another podcast. Very easy to prove. So Mary likes to read from the New International Version, a version of the old King James Version that reverses your vision. Yeah, it's put out there to tell you what you read isn't what it really said. I'm going to go to the King James, and the only reason I'm doing that, pardon me, is because it is the still #1 bestseller, least read English version. And so hopefully I'm up here in, I'm not real good at this today. I don't know. Not enough breakfast, I guess. I hope I'm in the right spot. And let's see, here we should go. And when they came to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Doth not your master pay tribute? And he said, Yes. And when he's coming to the house, Jesus rebuked him, saying, What thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom did the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter said unto him, Of strangers. And Jesus said, Then are the children free. All right, first of all, people, we're going to have to cover a couple of bases here. Whatever this tribute is that you claim as a tax, apparently the kings of the earth exempt their own, but they only get it out of strangers. Does that sound like our tax system? I don't think so. Now, I don't think tribute is a tax, and I'm going to tell you why that is when we get to Matthew 22. But keep in mind, in that day, in Jesus' day, they had an ability to pay a tax. Let's move on to Matthew 22. I'm trying to make this painless. It's very difficult to do this, winging it that I am. And keep things in perspective, people. Matthew 22 at verse 15. Then went out the Pharisees. And who are they? If you don't know who the Pharisees are, ask Murray, and took counsel how they might entangle him, who's him? Jesus, in his talk. They wanted to set a trap. And they sent out into their disciples with the Herodians, saying, Master, we know that thou art true, teach us the way of God in truth, neither carest thou for any man. Tell us therefore, what thinkest you? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? But Jesus perceived their wickedness, and said, Why tempt ye me, you hypocrites? Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny. Penny is an English term, people. The coin of the realm back then was the Roman denarius, a piece of silver struck into a coin. Oh, does that sound like prior to June 24th, 1968? Silver in coin form? Sure does to me. And he saith unto them, this is Jesus speaking, Whose is this image and superscription? They said unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, Render therefore unto Caesar's the things which are Caesar's, and unto God the things that are God's. All right, now why I don't think this is a tax? So if you have 3 silver Roman denariuses, are you to give one unto taxes to Caesar? It doesn't say that. Are you to keep one for until Cool Chris Budweiser's? It doesn't say that. And are you to give one to God? It doesn't say that either. It says to render things that are Caesar's unto Caesar's, and those that are God's unto God's. Now the state church wants you to give that second coin to them, because they are, after all, agents of God on this earth. America, do we have a Caesar? Are there people out there that really believe Joe Biden is a Caesar? I just don't get it. We don't even have a king. Who are you going to pay tribute to? And what is a tribute after all? I mean, is it a tax? When you go to a bar and there's a cover charge, is that a tribute to the bar? When you see a movie and buy tickets, is that a tribute? I don't think we're talking about taxes here, because how can you mix the issues of earthly taxes, which Jesus could pay, because they had a payments mechanism, with rendering things that are God's unto God? I don't really believe God expects you to give him your tax dollars. Today, a total impossibility, by the way. So, let me wrap this up real quick. How will I answer when standing before God in judgment? I'm not going to have to answer that question. It will never be asked, because men believe in fantasy. God is a realist and only deals in the truth, and there is no tax payment mechanism. So I'll never have to answer, why didn't I pretend to give the government some of my tax money? And furthermore, I'll never say to God what I'm going to say to you right here, right now. I'm running late. God damn, I got stuff to do.